Today we have Mitch Lyons, founder of GetPsychedSports.org. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Of course. How long did you coach sports and what was that experience like?
I coached for over 25 to 28 years approximately in community travel, girls high school basketball, boys basketball, high school AAU for 9 years, and into college, D3 men's basketball team. And we advocate for a written curriculum so that there's a definite message that's given to kids. For instance, the axiom that people perform better in a positive space. That's what we're advocating. Start that way because of the problems in sports today, dealing with toxic environments, abuse, hate, bias, and it also affords the opportunity to teach some career-ready skills, like creating a positive space.
That sounds really exciting. So tell us a little bit about Get Psyched Sports. What is your organization about and what is the purpose of it?
As I said, the advocacy of that is our primary objective. I founded also the Social Emotional Learning Alliance for Massachusetts, which is also an educational advocacy group that promotes social emotional learning as a very important part of learning. It's not just about what you know, it's how you deal with other people. Like having this conversation, having eye contact. Those are learned things. Not everybody does it, but you could teach everyone to do it. And that's what social emotional learning is about. And now applying it to sports would be a really wonderful time to an intense practicing of 5-6 days a week. Like, how do I create a space where we're not negative?
Sounds really important to have to implement this social emotional learning in coaching high school athletes as well as in school. So tell us a little bit about this science-based curriculum for high school sports team.
Well, it came up because of this varied nature of the coaches, that everybody does what they want, and that's the system. It's a 19th century system made up to go with the factory employee model, and the boss is all powerful and the employee has no voice. And in the 21st century, that's not what we want to teach students. We want to teach them to have a voice, to not be afraid to speak up. And on sports team, we're teaching the opposite. We're trying to change that.
I understand there's legislation. What is the status of the Act to remodel athletics, public school athletics through social emotional learning, and what does it aim to do?
It requires DESE, which is our Department of Ed, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, requires DESE to publish guidelines on how to implement a social emotional learning curriculum for sports teams. It's already done it for schools 11 years ago. There's a framework for social emotional learning, so that, and it's not a mandate, just like this legislation is not a mandate. It provides an alternative way of teaching for school districts, and that's really, DESE does things like that, advice on how to implement different programs. This is not a program, it's a way of teaching. Social emotional learning is not as much a program as a process of how to think about what you're thinking about, so that you can then use your thoughts to your advantage instead of being, self-doubting, for instance.
Yeah, it's really important to have a supportive environment so you can thrive instead of suppressive and you're being yelled at.
95%, maybe more, of the coaches are not yelling at kids. But those that do get a lot of attention because they cause so much damage. And post-traumatic stress is not abnormal in that. And if you go on social media, you'll see people complaining. Our big thing at Get Psyched Sports is that the abuse is bad, the toxic, we should correct that, and we could do that through a writing that is adopted and embedded in the school, but it's not going to be effective if not everyone is involved in it. And that means that coaches, students, parents all see this written document. When parents get the message that we're really dedicated to actually teaching skills that your kids will use right at home, really, how to get along better with your brother or sister, these are all social emotional learning skills that can be learned in a sports team and a sports environment. Learning how to focus, how to give maximum effort, how to manage emotion, how to goal set, all of these skills could be worked on regularly, and we're missing a great opportunity, and that's true with everybody who's coaching.
I totally agree. Mental well-being for players play a huge part in sports and in athletics. I'm curious, how did the schools, coaches, and players respond to this model?
In the teams that I have been dealing with, they responded incredibly well. They had to write down 3 goals each practice, but then we corrected as to what's a proper goal. So better defense, for instance, is not a good goal. I have to be low on defense so I can laterally move. That's a goal, to get low. So they had to learn that, but once they did learn it, they owned it. We should be teaching that kids have to be accountable to themselves first, and then to others. If we give lots of power to students, they become accountable to each other.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's the difference between implicit versus explicit learning in coaching?
Well, implicit is where there's no intent. It just happens. Like I see a cake and I learn all about the cake, what's good, the frosting, the moistness of the crumbs. Explicit learning is I teach you how to make the cake, as opposed to just observing and gathering information. That's the way they teach sportsmanship. They gather, you're supposed to get the idea by repeating the result over and over and over. Sportsmanship, sportsmanship, sportsmanship. We're supposed to absorb it. That is not teaching. Teaching is how do I get there? How do I do that? Well, I have to teach emotion management because that's usually where the bad sportsmanship shows up.
I can't agree more. Where can people go if they want to know more about or get involved with getpsychedsports.org, and what can they do to help further this cause?
They should go to the website, getpsychedsports.org, and read about what we're doing. They should call their state senator and tell them about House Bill 689 and Senate Bill 315. So call your representative and say, what's this bill about? And tell them about your support if you actually have that support. I hope they do.
Great, great. Well, I love the idea of social emotional learning in coaching sports, and thank you so much for sharing this with us today, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.